We're back with part 2 of the Melbourne Punters show, and we're joined by a special guest, Pods.
Yeah, so our viewers out there, a lot of them, a number of them will be PBL subscribers or subscribers to My Set or other things. One of my most loyal subscribers and a really good man, even when he's holidaying in Hawaii, finds a way to bet. Rexy, welcome aboard, mate.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Rexy, welcome aboard.
And that was a sensational couple of meetings when I was in Hawaii. It was the end of last year. Boxing Day. It was Christmas Day in Hawaii.
Oh.
And the midweek at Sandown on about the 28th and 29th. Both cracking Pots meetings.
Well, it's good to remember that we do have them, Rexy, because we're having a bit of a barren patch right now. But it's good to remember that we do hit the target every now and again. And the idea of you sitting by the pool or wherever you were over there in Hawaii, backing most of the card was very pleasant. So.
Yeah, well, normally you're dirty when you get to a hotel. It's 7:30 in the morning, and you've got your fingers crossed they'll check you in. And they said no rooms available. The check-in time's 2 p.m. We'll check back on you later. So anyway, at 7:30 in Hawaii was perfect timing for Australia. So we got given the pass to the pool, and we went and sat down in the pool. I had the laptop out. The wife fell asleep because we'd been on an all-night flight from Australia. So I had the kids in the pool, so I had to watch them while they're swimming. Had the laptop out, dynamic odds going up. Discovered at the last minute you could bet to Australia by dynamic odds.
Yeah.
And
how old were the kids that you weren't looking at?
9, 11 and 12. They can look after themselves. The pool's about 18 inches deep.
When they're that old, Ralph, the big one can look after the other
That's
two, so it's
exactly
easy.
right. Absolutely.
Flemington said...
We're not finished.
You want me to talk it up again, how much they won?
No, just...
Well, it was supposed to be a punt-free week, so the fact that the wife fell asleep and was comatose on the lounge next to me gave me the opening. I had to breeze through it all in about an hour and 20. Got all the bets on for the day, a few fixed prices, a few best of bests, and pack it away. Awesome. And the wife woke up, the laptop was shut, and I'm sitting back relaxing and go to bing. Didn't they come in that day?
Happy days. Now, what we're going to do, punters, we're going to have a quick, Jack was about to say this, but I'll say it for him, we're going to have a quick review of Flemington, and then we'll come back for another part later, and we'll just have a bit of a quick Q&A with Rexy.
And I'll just give one quick stat update. I've just looked up at the screen. We're filming on Monday this week, so Mildura's on. Michelle Payne has ridden the winner, and that's after 53 rides without a winner. Tom Gilmore put that up on Twitter that he was surprised by that stat, and I taught it to him that I wasn't surprised.
Yes, some people struggle to actually understand that a stat is a fact.
Yes.
Yes, so it's actually no opinion to it. It's a fact.
No, and there's been some unbelievable, well, they're just riders, but female riders in that time that have been riding unbelievably. Chelsea Hall is one that you want to have on your side at the minute, punters, because she's riding winners for fun at the minute, and they're all massive prizes.
She can get them going, Chelsea. She can get them out of the gates, get them up on speed, and can get into a rhythm with them. And under those circumstances, if you can find the right horse, she's out wide. She's a jockey that can be followed.
That's the next thing for me, though, Pods, is actually pushing the button on it to pull the trigger and actually bet it.
Overview, Flemington. It was a windy day, punters, on the circle. Now, we've had 3 weeks in a row of severe winds, badly affecting races. This one, I don't think it badly affected, but the ones on the circle, well, it's a northerly. So
yeah, but it wasn't strong enough. I mean, two leaders basically won round.
No, I'm not saying it was severe. I'm saying it was there because they did drop a little bit of figures in the mid race. That was all.
I've got all the circle races won by on paces. So one by one's the farthest back I can go. Amarilla's come, and Glorious Sindar's. Anyway, I mean the win I don't think was as big a factor. It was pretty low racing. The performance of the day by a long stretch, he's turning around. Is Vince agreeing there or not?
It was. Are we doing race by race?
No, I just noticed who was Vince's.
Yeah, turning around.
It was clearly the best race of the day, and Jamando's gone extremely well. So we'll come to Jamando, but he's gone all right. Anyway, so let's go race by race.
The first race was won by
2-year-old
Sebring Dream.
This was a very slow race, and they went even slower in the mid-race. It was a very slow race. That doesn't mean, I'm getting a bit of a flashback to Abby Marie here, that doesn't mean that the winner can't win again, because it actually did no work, gates open at the 300 metre mark and it dashed home. I was astonished, and we all see things differently. Don't think I'm having a go. But Gator afterwards said Jaws of Steel, the interference definitely cost it winning, and I don't think you could ever definitely say it just because you're unlucky. It's easier to be unlucky than to win. And what I would say is through Vince's figures, Jaws of Steel when the 5th best last 600 a day, Sebring Dream the 9th best last 600. Okay. But it was the pickup speed. The gate wasn't open for Sebring Dream.
To go any quicker.
Jaws of Steel was already going.
Yeah.
But where you do have to rubbish the form and the overall time, and where it's really important to look at the 800, which I think is a key indicator. So Jaws of Steel ran the 42nd best last 800. Okay. So in other words, there was just a 600 metre dash home, so it's really important. They did no work early. I think Sebring Dream will win a bit, and as I said about Frank de Form, as it happened to Frank when that horse won in Adelaide, I Am a Star.
Yeah.
But it had nothing to do with Sebring Dream winning in Melbourne.
I would just love to ask the other jockeys in that race. It was clear going into the race that the horse that had the fastest 1 or 2 sectionals in it was going to be Sebring Dream, and you just handed him the race. There was just all the other jockeys uncompetitive riding. The only one I'll give a pass mark to is I think it was Patrick Maloney on the horse I backed each way, Atlantic Express. At least he sensed that they were going way too slow and tried to get himself into a position where winning was possible, but the horse just can't put it all together at this stage. But the rest of the jockeys there, it's just they have run almost 3 seconds slower than Jamando. We're talking in the order of between 16 and 18 lengths. It's just very.
And fairness to Jody, what do I mention? It could be instructions from the stable. You don't know why, but what we are saying ultimately as jockey, you have to take responsibility for it. And none of you were doing anything other than Michael Walker just lobbed 1-1 and then go over.
Well, what tends to happen, I think, you get these 2 year-olds up to 1400 first time, and the stables go, well, just try and nurse them because they're not going to get that trip and whatever. And you get this sort of situation.
You see more going too hard and then nothing can pick its legs up, and winning or running a place of big odds, than going as slowly as you possibly can, and then you get outspread anyway if you're no good.
Yeah, absolutely. When the favourite there was well back, it was stepping up from 1100 metres. The way to beat it was to make it a test. That was your chance of making it.
And Beach Life was the one that also did the wrong thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It might have some ability, but we didn't see.
Race 2, Divine Chills. Beat the favourite, Euston Road. Spots.
Oh, it was a race I had no interest in.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll point out here is one of the great Mark Lambourne pearls is young fillies, at what they can do at the run following their maiden win, the improvement they can show. I've tried to look at hundreds of them to try and get some idea of what that scope of improvement is, and I've come up with no answer whatsoever, because to me what they tend to do, the ones that do improve, which is an awful lot of them, they improve enough to win at their next start, which I don't really understand that, but it just keeps happening time and time again, and a lot of them winning at big odds, so it's very hard to assess how much they're going to improve pre-race, but a lot of them improve enough to win, so that means that they're very good betting propositions, and the alternate's also true at their next start. They are often overvalued at their next start and they go backwards. So.
Very, very average bunch. I had a small each way play on Air Apparent on the quick backup. Barrier 1 didn't suit it, and also being near the speed I think didn't suit it, but I don't blame the initiative. The one thing about Divine Chills that was unknown, Potts, was that Ballarat best last 400, 200, 100 of the day's winners off a slow tempo, but you hadn't seen what it could do off a fast one, and then you did see it. And I think 7th best last 800 of the day is pretty sound, so I think it's the only horse that interests me out of that race.
Yep. Race 3 was won by Turn It Around, and I've got a learning out of this race. If Greg Miles isn't officially gone,
why did you say that?
It's just in case.
Well, we backed Extra Noble each way.
Right.
I was on a 5-2 the place. I'm pretty sure he called it running second. Potts was watching the race. Potts knew that it was second ball that was running second. I was running around like a blue backsided fly around the betting ring, and I'm only listening to it, and I thought, happy days. We're back turning it around. I'm on this thing at 7-2 the place. Life's good. So that's going in with my Magnolian Khan ticket, and my other ticket from the other week at Caulfield, where he's called something that I'm on that hasn't actually cashed.
That's the boss.
That's the boss, right. Break the record this year, Greg. of calling the record number of cubs and then give it away.
The problem is you've just come off a race. We talked about Divine Chills, who won it. It was at the Bendigo at Ballarat as Hot and Soxy, with Rick calling it by the wrong name.
I was at junior basketball watching it on my phone with the sound off, so I knew the colours.
Yeah, well,
and I was very happy. Now I got that race right. Now, second bullet next start is just rock hard. Now he just needed that. You just wonder, do maybe Ben Mellon wait a bit? In other words, let Ben Thompson dictate to him by sitting right behind him. Right at second bullet a bit cute. I don't know. That could be a hindsight thing, but ultimately they lead off the two of them from the others. Kalani Kid, which the definition of nerves in racing at the moment is taking on a Darren Weir winning horse. But I did, because it came off very, very slow South Australian races, and it was overbet because of the fact that A, it was Darren Weir, which is fair enough, B, he was winning, but it won very slow races, so I think you can trust both of those.
I'm just glad he did win.
You got anything to say about those races, Rexy? We've been rushing by them.
You did call it right though with Kalani Kid. You called it a would ease weight. It moved in the morning. There was a couple of moves on it, 4 and about 360, about 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. But and it made me nervous then. But the real money comes on at race time, and it did get out at the end.
Well, one thing with the apprentices too, 3 kilo kids, and someone like Ben Thompson, I think he's got good balance and bone that. I think that's where your map's really important, because in that case with Ben Thompson, he was able to just follow Ben Mellon in the run and get dragged into the race. And he rode it perfectly.
Yeah.
I think and we saw it maybe with Lyuba the week before, when they have to do the work themselves,
it's a bit harder.
And it's a craft. It's a craft that takes years and years to learn. So I think that's where I'd always rather an apprentice, when you can be pretty confident in your map that he's going to be dictated to in that situation. That's when maybe it's a better value. The all-important claim that isn't that important.
Race 4, Mahoney, and another value second to the subscriber pots with Santa Rocks a little bit sick weight on the fair.
Yeah, well, the betting said Santa Rocks is not here. It's going to run about 2 lengths below its form, and it ran 2 lengths below its form. So I don't know. Like these Hawks horses that come down from Sydney, I don't know. It's a bit random. I feel a bit silly for falling into it, really.
Could we maybe put this, because I'm looking at Vince's figures, and the last 200 was very soft for Santa Rocks, and the pace was very firm. Yeah. I just wonder if sometimes the conspiracy theory aside, that when the horse has to travel in the state,
it's not a conspiracy theory.
They're masters. No.
Because it ran in a really solid race at Rose Hill. So, but what you're saying about Vince's figures matched the race exactly, and the betting. It just wasn't fit. It wasn't.
No. All I was going to say was maybe it just had a bad experience travelling down. Possibly, it just wasn't 100%.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm agreeing with that. Totally. It'd be nice if that was communicated to punters pre-race, because it was obviously communicated to someone. Someone wanted to lay it.
Could have been the yard.
Could have been.
But how wrong did they get Grand Dreamer though? I mean, I couldn't understand its price. It's come off absolutely set up to perfection at Warrnambool. A heavy tan, the right distance, well backed. Disappointing at Warrnambool. It's come back sharply in distance.
But I'll put this to you, that could be confirmation bias, because the horse is pulled up with abrasions and it's pulled up badly. They got thrashed. I was on it. What I'm saying is, if it got beaten 3 lengths, I'd feel like a real dickhead. But when it gets thrashed that much, do you know that was the reason? That's what I'm saying. It's more of an unknown than.
I think
wrestling a long way out.
I think the support for Grand Dreamer was because there'd obviously been information filtering into some parts of the market, Rexy, that Santa Rocks is not here. It's going to run a couple lengths below its best, and they were looking for an alternative. And it's often a really good fitness builder at Warrnambool, and it's the obvious alternative. There wasn't really another strong alternative in the race, and the fact that Mahoney won the race sort of. Mahoney's a horse that we've backed several times in these type of races, and usually when it works that hard up on the spoon, it's very soft late and they can run past it, but it found a way to keep going there on Saturday.
Well, you're right in both accounts, because Mahoney ran the 84th best last 400 of the day.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a fact. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. So that's how tired it was. It's still won.
And on that feeling, Ralph, like I've just got used to it. Feeling like a dickhead, you just get used to it.
Just get used to it, right?
It doesn't take long. You just get used to it. Race 5, bit of a marginal race. I think you thought Bodson, but you found the winner.
Well, I almost could have left this one off the betting plan. Thankfully, I didn't, because the day would have been worse. as it was, we lost 24 units. To me, the form said there were 3 top chances in this race. They all started the morning at about the $5.56 mark. So, Loyalty Man, Shockaholic, and Atlantic City. And in the end, they started 9-2. Loyalty Man, which won. I think Atlantic City started 6-1.
No, Atlantic City was 550.
11-2. Sorry, 550.
Yeah, Atlantic City 550
Must
was
have been
the
back
SP.
very late because it was 11-2 throughout most of betting. Anyway, it drifted marginally and ran quite nicely. And Shockaholic trained at Mornington. 2 weeks ago, all those Mornington horses, rock solid in betting. This time had a beautiful run, completely poisoned on the fair. You could have, official price was about 8-1, but you could have got double figures on the fair. Had a lovely run, pulled out at the 300 to just run into the race and win it. As soon as he let it off the bin, it just collapsed, like there was nothing there. And this is the sort of thing I'd love the stewards to explain to me. Is it just that Shockaholic didn't cope with the step to 1600 metres? Maybe that's what it is. But when you line up the form of 3 races now at Flemington with largely the same horses, the first of them won by underscore, with Shockaholic running a place and Sir Sagamore running a place, and the next race that Shockaholic wins with, Sir Sagamore underscore behind it, and then this race where the placings are all completely reversed again with Sir Sagamore running the best race of those horses. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's completely random. There's no pattern to the form of those horses.
I'll put one for the stewards about the integrity that I think actually involves us as punters. So I speak to horses in the race, Sir Sagamore, so you just beat me there, and Presswick, and I just did it off the SPs. And the previous night, as you said, I didn't have any respect for the form, so I thought, well, both of them didn't turn up. Sir Sagamore gets to about 11s, but I could see it happening. Get to 11s, and it usually gets too far back, and that's ultimately what it cost it. So you wear it. And Presswick, Presswick at Sale was unbelievable. At Flemington it was shithouse.
Yeah.
And then I think, well, flat run, Nick Price isn't going to back it up unless he's happy with it again 2 weeks later. Now on Betfair it was 9s out to 25s. And it gets beat, it gets lapped again.
No, it was all there. That's what I'm saying. I completely understand why you would have backed it. I understand why people back Presswick. I looked at Presswick and thought, is there any way I can... The problem is you have the first up win out wide, and then you come to town and you completely collapse. So you sort of got to make that horse earn its opportunity again. And to me, but I don't know what. Given the betting on Betfair, that it got beaten 20 lengths last start. It's been beaten 15.5 lengths again. I wonder what it was doing in that race. I really do.
Who wrote it?
Presswick was written by Luke Curry.
I think it reflects badly on Mick Price, the stadium, and I think it really annoys me when I see stuff like that, and it tells me that in the off-season, I'd set around again and see what happens, because, and the stewards, for the stewards to accept the bullshit explanation from Luke Curry, to say that, I think it's, maybe the track was too firm for it. Well, they won a concrete sale, so it had nothing to do with it.
It was.
It had nothing to do with it. Yeah, exactly.
So I think a lot of the times what happens in these situations is the trainer knows the horse is finished, but he has to send it around again to convince the owners. But I would much prefer it if they just tell everyone. I suppose they sort of can't, because then the stewards might not let it run. But it happens an awful lot, and the frustrating part is, half an hour before that race, if someone had asked me what's the SP going to be at Presswick, what's it going to start on the fair, I would have said the range is anywhere between $6 and $50, and that's sort of what happens. It's very trying to analyse these things. It's just
and they're the. I know we're spending a bit of time talking about it in the new tape, but that actually is what really annoys punters. I remember something happened with Lucky Largo last September. It won enormously at Sandown and went to Caulfield. It was 6s out to 20s.
And went like an absolute bastard,
And then they asked some stupid explanation that they accept. The jockey may as well burst into some Hugh Jackman style rather than actually answer anything. And then 2 weeks later, it runs stakes placed.
The steward should be given like the NFL refs. There should just be a flag on the play and just go, I call bullshit.
So anyway, we're here talking this sort of stuff every week. Yeah. What about you? You're at home, you're watching this sort of thing. Does it resonate with you? What do you think when you see these sort of form reversals, things showing up on the fair before it happens and that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, it's all a bit of a mystery because I just don't think there's a clique of people that know everything. Because that's what you make it sound like sometimes. That there's an inner circle of people who have got all the intelligence.
I don't mean to make it sound like that at all.
No, you don't. But that's sometimes I feel like, I wish I was in the know.
Yeah.
That comment about it's only a reward if you're not in on it. It's almost like there's a conspiracy where 5, 6, 10 people know something that no one else knows, and they're the beneficiaries of it.
It's a very good point, Rex, and that to me is why, when it's been defended that the stewards ask lots of questions, but they're not all in the stewards report. Don't you, as an average, as an average punter, but as a typical punter like us, think I want to know all the information I can. If questions are being asked, I don't want to know that there's a clique of people who might know something. I want all those questions asked of those things that if we back a horse that runs below expectations, thoroughly questioned, sure.
Yeah, well, they've got obviously they've got a lot of racing to watch, and it seems like they almost don't have enough time to ask the questions. And they've probably done it before, and it just goes round in circles. The trainer and the jockey and the owners show evidence of having supported it, and they just say, well, it's a mystery to us as well.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't explain why there's a bunch of people who knew that the horse just went out and got Betfairitis.
And I think the point you've raised is just really excellent, because the reason it can sound like there's a clique or there's a group that knows, because we really don't know who is behind all these individual cases. It would be so much better for all like the people that are heavily involved in wagering if you could know. And I understand that's a difficult thing, right? But when there's really unusual betting patterns, I think it'd be better for the industry if there was some description of whether the people that were behind that betting were connected to the stable in any way. I know there's probably, they're keeping at arm's length and everything else, but I think if you ask me what happens to try and give some sort of explanation to it, I think information leaks out of the stables, and it's often nothing to do with the trainers. It's often a lot more to do with stable hands and vets. And I think there's a real issue that Racing Victoria need to deal with it. I've said on the show a number of times, with who has direct access to the horse and who can administer to those horses. And if they solve that problem, a lot of these type of issues will go away.
But is there a problem that information gets out? Because to me, information getting out is Presswick 8s out to 25s. Yeah. The problem is stewards then not nailing the stable to the wall and saying, how come the market told you this horse was going to go shit again?
Yeah, well, remember, why was the horse running? That's the point.
That's
you know what I mean? So my point earlier on was the people involved in whatever led to that, and this is just one example of a number, should be terrified of the integrity department, and they're not. So they're happy to run that horse.
They're only terrified about their feed deal. There's nothing about that stuff that's actually on TV.
The other thing with the betting moves is though, it's like it works both ways. Like we've all seen the sheep thing back in the. It still happens now on course where you'll see one of the commission agents or something start, they'll back it and then we're away then, and then it's firming right in. Well, it does happen the other way as well. So when you see the nibbles there that it's going to start drift, everyone's trying to catch it at that price, and the next thing it's express out the gate because of the. In some cases, the lack of liquidity.
I'll give you a non-conspiracy theory example. After counter-attack was late scratching in the new market. You've got to tell Scotty that. But I'm looking, after it was out, so the second or third favourite, it was around about that. Chautauqua was still being freely bet at $2.50.
Yep.
Chautauqua.
Yep.
Right. Now,
$2.80. Unfair.
I'm just talking about now it gets beaten. It was short of fitness. It was a soft tempo lightning stakes. The grand final was Hong Kong. The secondary grand final was Sydney, and I was building with that. Well, that's just information, isn't it? So the market told you this horse was not yet rock hard fit, and they were going to let you on today. And then it peaks and peaks. So that's the market intelligence working soundly. That's no worries. But when they're completely poisoned, that's what it really.
I'll give you another example. When it was a horse that I was involved in, I was the managing part owner of a horse called Benatar. She was a handy mare filly. She's
Brian Mayfield-Smith?
Yeah, Brian Mayfield-Smith, won 6 or 7 races in town. And we were heavily backed on Blue Diamond Day one year from $9 into $5, started favourite. Absolutely pissed in. Got injured. We came back from injury about a year later, and she'd had a difficult preparation, but Brian had her right on the day. We trialled. He said she's good to go. We, based on the form, we were the best horse in the race. It was just a mid-season, out-of-season mares race. We were $4 in all the early markets. Come to the last 20 minutes, we went 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8.50 on Betfair. And Brian's told us the horse is okay. As an owner, we've got full expectations we're going to go okay. And she ran accordingly. She ran like 7th to 8th, never looked like it, and actually never ran again because obviously she'd never come back from the injury. So I trust Brian 100% because Brian was straight down the line, real straight shooter. Not saying all the trainers are as gilt edged as Brian, but Brian was clean. But someone knew. The vet, like you said,
so that's what I'm saying.
Someone in the stable knew she was going to go around.
And often the information I get is the trainer thinks it's ready to go, and then I'll find out other information through other sources at the stable that know this is not going to happen, and these people are all against this horse.
How many lengths below its best was Lincoln Ruby in the Corporate Cup Day last year?
10.
When it was $1.50 out to $1.90.
Between 8 and 10 lengths. That was terrible. That was awful.
The one thing with that
How
is,
many minutes did that inquiry take?
the other thing with that is, though, it's much easier for them to chase them out at that price than what it is when they're ace at 26s or whatever. Race 6 was won by Amarella.
It was, and that was Darren Gauchi at his perfect best on the figures.
He's a new jockey, isn't he?
Young kid just coming through. If you want an example of what a craft riding is for pace, it's one of the most interesting things I've found since studying Vince's figures is the great jockeys can ride to the numbers. And they went very, very hard front written, and then they dropped anchor, and they partly into that headwind on the side circle, but they overdid it, and there's Gouch just flowing into the race, as you say. Potts, that's just a case of not losing momentum when others are losing momentum.
So what did the betting tell us about Entre Nous and Tenacity, Rexy, from your point of view?
Tenacity was an interesting one because you'd recommended an early bet, but it was $6 on every board. So I always hold back. If I can see $6 on every board on dynamic odds on Friday afternoon, I think it was, I'm prepared to wait because you're waiting for someone to give it a tweak at $6.50. But the giveaway there, certainly on Saturday, was Sportsbet was $7.50.
Yeah.
Now, when one of the big corporates isn't just giving a half a point over, they're giving 3 points, 3 turns over, I held back.
Yeah.
And the 6 stayed there with most of the boards during the day, but once race time came, someone put up 960, 980 on the fair, which I thought, okay, that's better than sports bet. I took a little bit of the 980, but then a few minutes later it was trading $11.
Yeah.
So clearly, a trader at Sportsbet, congratulations, he called it right. And
Andrew Ciccello, well done, Chips. He's one of the best there is.
Thank you.
Well, he was spot on, and I think it even traded at $15 on the fair.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting one. I'm glad I didn't take the 6.
So just to explain, the reason I recommended those early bets is because I felt that Sir Prospector was just taking up way too much, and I thought the market had squeezed that out, and they had to go somewhere. But I was wrong. See, it held its price, Sir Prospector. But I'm not surprised it ran badly.
Monster changes again.
Yeah, well, there was a whole bunch of reasons why I couldn't find Sir Prospector at anything like that price. And I went looking for alternatives. And Tenacity had been racing along without winning. He's been a bloodless horse. And I'm sort of thinking this horse will either win and run shorter than 650 or it won't be with us. The price will be bigger, but it won't win anyway. So that was my train of thought. Now, Entre Nous I can't explain. He's just obviously in the prep, I suppose, because that run was just so out of character for that horse. So
Time and Test, another example of McAvoy's
going real well.
Now, Amarella, I have to put my hand up and say that I found her 2 starts ago and was so disappointed that she didn't run well behind Every Faith. She got beaten 7.5 lengths behind Every Faith and was deplorable.
got herself back on track.
She got herself back on track, but it was only behind in a show and against the mares. So she was, I mean, I think I marked her about a price. So she was one of the horses I tried to find a way to find her, but it's just frustrating when I mean, she hasn't, it's the first Saturday City race she's won. I expected her to win one of those races, but against the mares, I never expected she'd be able to beat the males. So anyway, you got it. Like you said, it was a fantastic ride, and all credit to them. So I suppose you can say in hindsight the signs were there last up, and she was going to run better. So a bit disappointing.
Race 7 was the time-honoured 2-mile race at Flemington, the Duke of Norfolk.
Went okay early, completely dropped anchor in the mid, and I reckon that's where weight really becomes a factor.
Yeah,
because
when you've got to try and pick up off it. Yeah.
See, but Gloria Cinder and the Bandit with the different form, beating the city type form with the little engine, Smoky Delic and 5-6 kilos difference. That's probably the difference.
It all makes sense. But it's hard. The Bandit was sort of was a bit of a mystery. Like you sort of thought Japanese horse, they tend to run well. Well, what gets me about John Sadler is they all tend to run well on top of the ground. They don't go as a general rule with this thing out. So it's sort of, but stepping up from 2000, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah. Sort of not easy to back in a 2-mile race. And Gloria Cinder was really easy to find. Once he was supported and firm in the market, I was tempted to recommend a bet to our guys in the chat room, but because we're having a bit of a quiet run, I just wanted to keep things as conservative as I could, really.
Some of us factored.
Oh, well done.
I followed you. You rated it lower than the market, and you had it on top or second.
Second.
So actually, I found it and had a very small win because I just didn't want to wait an hour for the next race. That's all.
Well played, Rexy. Good to see. Nothing makes me happier than when I've taken a conservative option, but subscribers read through the set and make some decisions based off it and find the winner. It's good because I often leave races off the betting plan that are sort of marginal, but then the betting leads in one way or another, and there is some value there. And I tend to find the winner of those races.
We have to keep reminding ourselves that we're doing it. We're giving information to people who it's their day off.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's their recreation, they whatever.
Well, I think
like Rex is a good representative of a lot of our subscribers in that chat room. They're really capable, able guys. What they're getting from us is a lot of the grunt work that you haven't got time to do yourself, but you're going to add your own perspective on top of it, which is a really valuable thing. I did that for years and made a profit myself with Mark Lambourne's set. That's how I started. So initially I'd get Mark's stuff, I'd do my own form, but Mark's prices dictated about 80% of my bets, and slowly over time that changed. I got more and more confident about what I was doing, but it's...
Well, I don't want to make it sound like I was desperate. I just had to have a bet.
Yeah.
But
You wanted to.
But I wanted to. But you priced it less than the market. There was $7.
Yeah, there was an overlay there.
I got a bit of overlay there. They're betting $7 early in the day, which I'd taken. It got out to about 7 on the fair just as they jumped.
Yeah.
But I think you might have rated it 550.
550, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's all
I think the real
happy
question,
days. All
what the
winners.
punters really want to know is, Potts, is will the winner of this 3,200 metre race or anything in this 3,200 metre race bob up in another 3,200 metre race at Flemington later on in the year?
No, congratulations to the stupidest tweet, and let's face it, it's a pretty high watermark, but the stupidest tweet of the weekend, and I would say that if I genuinely remember, I can't remember, but someone pointed out that the race was faster than Prince of Penzance. Then there's nothing less relevant.
The relevance is, I suppose, if there was a 3,200 metre race with just the Bandit, Gloria Cinder and Prince of Penzance in it, I'd be tempted to back one of the other two to beat Prince of Penzance, but that's sort of...
Well, the Australian hurdles on this weekend, they'll run faster over 3,400.
What's the trivia question?
That's right. That's a good point.
What's the trivia question? It's like Jeopardy here. The answer is nautical. What's the question?
Well, the question is, that's the first 1,200 metre run at Flemington.
No. It's more significant if I said significance on the world stage,
Right.
where the answer is nautical.
Oh, no, I can't answer that.
Who beat Chautauqua in the Seymour Maiden one day?
Yes,
there you go.
spot on.
I do remember seeing that
I
record.
miss Seymour. Look forward to getting back there.
I'm a Buckstone Seymour.
Okay,
I shot Ralphie's last hand handicap.
He got rolled in the Sneaks Maiden as well, Chautauqua.
He did on a fence off Kyneton.
Twice beaten as a maiden.
I've had a terrible history with that horse. I had a massive bet on it at Scone. It was Dwayne Dunn's worst ride of his life. It was just...
Oh, hang a bit. Let's not open that Pandora's box. We might be here for a while.
Do better than that one.
Well, after Nautical lobbed, I just heard someone in the ring shout, "Who are these imbeciles?" So I went over to investigate, assuming they were looking for me.
Yeah.
And I spoke to Freddie Watson, Race Monty Rails bookmakers. And I said, "What imbeciles?" He goes, "Who are these imbeciles that put up these ridiculous prices on Betfair?" 95 and 85 they managed to get matched on that horse.
Yeah, I was
It sort of doesn't surprise me. If you hadn't spotted
But she's one of those, if you're playing the fair and you see some silly odds, you have a small amount on because she has got talent on her day, and you just say, oh, is she going to turn up today? And at that price, because I like saying the bigger the odds, the more you can forgive them.
Yeah.
It was 70s and 80s on the corporates.
Was it?
When they jumped, yeah.
There you go.
And she wasn't impossible to find.
No.
I backed I Love
She
It
bet you
down in the
ten.
Bow Mistress
Yeah,
a couple of months ago. She was fresh that day. And it's one of those horses where I just didn't want to get beaten by the... You know, you have nightmares about a horse who's just knocked you off, and there she's going around at 60 to 1. Sometimes it's worth just a little bit on it.
Definitely. I think, Rexy, if you'd have just looked at her 1200 metre form in isolation, you definitely could have found her in that race. And of course, I'm saying that in hindsight because I didn't do that in foresight. But after the race, I went back through and looked at the last 30 runs, and all of her 1200 metre runs are good. And it's astonishing, really, that she'd had 8 or 10 runs at Flemington, or whatever she'd had, and they'd all been at either 1100 or 1400. It's just
Durandell is a moral next time, by the way. Durandell is a moral.
Now, the other thing I could say about that race is, like, I mean, honestly, never again would demonstrate. I mean, the boys in Sydney have made a great point about backing that stable further into the prep. And he's just a thief, that horse. He goes around under the odds all the time. Yeah, what are we saying?
Did I mention before about how the jockeys may as well burst into some Hugh Jackman style? Patrick Maloney said that the horse didn't handle the straight. Bullshit. If they just would write down anything in the short body.
And the horse just never travelled.
That's all right. It had nothing to do with the straight track.
Like it didn't travel on the part that would have been before the turn at Caulfield. I don't know. Like, it's just that stable. Once they get, particularly if they race really well early in their prep, once they get the fourth up, they're just finished. They're just no good. I just feel like a dickhead for setting that horse out as a bet in the race. It was easy to mark 9 to 4 or thereabouts on form. But anyway, its run does not surprise me one bit.
The last was run by Jamando, the Giants flying. The new boy
Which
ran
I've been saying
second.
on the show.
Ralph's been making that
And
point.
the new boy ran second, which probably sums up the race.
Now,
Which was a steaming heap of
do you
shit.
know Leonard Marlborough? I'm following
Is he
him.
here now? Because that's about as far as my
so
memory goes.
on speed ratings, I think he calls it. I'll just follow him to it.
Oh, no, I do follow him on Twitter. Yes. Yeah.
I heard him on a podcast last year, the Spring Carnival, with Hawthorne and Till, Max Presley and Helen Thomas. That is good stuff. And he said something about one of the Melbourne Cup horses that might have been Red Kiddo.
Yeah.
But and he said the thing with older horses are that they don't lose their ratings until they clearly don't want to be in for the fight. In other words, that's their ability.
That's their ability, and until they decide that they don't want to be a racehorse anymore, that's where they're...
And I reckon the new boy's a prime example of that. He's clearly enjoying his racing. He's running quickly.
He is now.
And what was that race?
He wasn't 6 months ago, and we found him in a perfect race at Caulfield, and he just turned it up.
No, Danny O'Brien said that.
Yeah, I know.
He said that now that he's a happy horse again. So that now what was the Pat Kerry horse that ran unbelievable 400 figure in February? He ran second a week. Dan Zephyr. He's still going around, so he's enjoying his racing. They're the older horses that you shouldn't risk. But Germano's kind to me. I this time too. I was on Germano and Zabrins. I needed to obviously save on Zabrins because the stable thinks that you have to go back to last on every single time that horse goes around, which is ridiculous because the horse actually has speed if they ever try and put him in a race. But Germano, I love the aggressive ride on Luke Curry. We had added up that enormous...
We're going to be disagreeing here, Ralphie.
Yeah, we will. But the enormous Victoria handicap, Charmed Harmony. Now, Germano ran so well, he was flat at his next start and then he didn't handle the wet. But more than that. That's how it is.
No,
Where are we disagreeing?
Well, we're disagreeing. First of all, I think Germano's been showing signs of a horse. This is my reading of it, so I'm wrong, right? So I'm saying you're right, I'm wrong. The horse that wasn't interested in winning anymore, that was happy just running around about 2 lengths behind whoever was winning. Okay, so he's shown no signs of going to the front of the race in quite a while. And I don't think Luke Curry took him to the front this race at all. I think Germano took himself to the front.
Well, that's a good sign.
And it sort of is.
The stable's going particularly
exactly.
well.
Something's happened at the stable to wake Germando up. I'd love to have the explanation of what made Germando race in that fashion. He actually charged in that race for the first 800 metres of the race, going way too quick. It's almost inexplicable that he kept going. And Luke Curry admitted that he was along for the ride. He had no control of the horse at all. He just had So I'm just amazed that the horse kept going. I could have, if I'd have been able to trust Jamando and he had been finding the line, he was eminently findable in that race. So when I first did the raw figures for that race, he was equal top pick with 4 other horses. There was 5 chances in the races as I saw it really. Probably sort of 6 including the new boy, given where he was going to be on the map if the inside was okay. So I just Flemington's been a very hard place to lead and win for a long time now, a long time. And for that horse to charge like that and keep going so strong into the line, I think needs explaining. It's my opinion.
I used to say in Carnival when stables have a good run, just swim with the tide.
You've been making that point. That's a very good point.
We don't have to worry about it. It's
even
when they have
Tony-
bad runs that we have to
Tony Backboy's other runner on the day ran really well as well, which was first up. I mean, they're all running well, but anyway. You got any add there, Rexy?
Oh, look, sometimes horses do. They get to the front and they run like they charge like hell, and you're expecting them to bust.
Yeah.
And they just don't. They keep going like. I know you're not into the hurdles, but yesterday Frankie did it at Casterton. And he led by 20 lengths at Warrnambool and fell in a heap. He did exactly the same thing yesterday, and at the 600 metre mark, he was not going to get run down.
I've just found one that's for you this Sunday, I think. So I tweet out when I see Mr. Backchat Barrier at Heen, surely this isn't another stable scratching one because it's drawn wide, because I thought it was going to map really well. It was going to come across high speed, the new boy and a couple others in the race. Now, given how well Jamando went, and someone tweeted back who I think was involved in the stable at Chuka Cup this Sunday.
There you go.
I'll be packing up. All right, that's the end of part 2 because I'm a bit wet myself.